Okay, I'm finding the good angle now because I'm vlogging. I'm filming about the story living in Switzerland.
They say you're only young ones, but we live for it, we die for it, we live for
I mean, it's not hard to survive in Switzerland.
They might think that living in Switzerland is like living in paradise.
Try looking for bigger companies because they're more able to sponsor your visa.
Der Papst ist Spot bestellt.
Schnecken erschrecken, wenn sie an Schnecken schlecken, weil zum Schrecken vieler Schnecken nicht schmecken. Puh.
This is the thing. I'm curious to know about what people think about Switzerland if they've never lived here in Switzerland. And in 3 words. And they say mountain, cold, and expensive. We are in Switzerland, right? And people who do not live in Switzerland, they might think that living in Switzerland is like living in paradise. Mm-hmm. Why? Because everything is here. Everything is provided here, like the security, facility, and what else? Reliability, punctuality.
Yeah.
People are rich. So any aspect that makes the well-being is here. What do you think of that?
Well, some things are true. I mean, the public transport in Switzerland, for example.
Yeah, excellent.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Some things are just stereotypes. I mean, not everyone is rich here.
Not everyone. That is true. But most of people here are rich in well-being.
Yeah, compared to the rest of the world, I guess so. Yeah, but like not super rich. It's not like everyone drinks champagne.
So, do you agree if they say that living in Switzerland is like living in paradise?
If you neglect the weather, maybe, because
Yeah.
it's like minus 10 degrees currently.
Yeah, but at least we still have the sun today, right?
That's true. Yeah.
That's true. Okay, and living here as young people like you, what is the challenge of being the young generation? Because normally people think that you're still very young, you do not have many problems. So what challenge you as a young people?
I think that Switzerland in general is oriented for a little bit more older people, I guess. So, I mean, it's hard to. You're not really allowed to be loud at night.
Yes.
And lots of
Sunday quiet.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's often the case that like your neighbors who are like 60 years old or so call the police on you because you've been too loud after 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just annoying, I guess.
So they complain over the small thing, and easily, because it's not the case in my home country. For example, like in Indonesia, people compromise a lot, but you know there is always a pros and cons in every country. So that is the thing. So if you can mention one biggest thing that you cannot stand living in Switzerland.
Something that I don't really like is that it's harder to make friends in Switzerland with other people.
So it's like almost impossible to make friend in a short time. Like you really need to spend quite a long time. And at the end of the day, even if you spend a long enough time, this is not like close friends. It's just like
acquaintance.
Yeah. This is not so nice. So how you cope with that? Are you the type of the person that like making friends? Or you're also very introvert?
I would say that I'm more introverted, but I also like making friends. For example, if I'm traveling, if that's possible again after Corona.
Hopefully. Soon.
Hopefully, yeah. I like to make new friends, and here in Switzerland, it's easier for me because I grew up here.
Yeah. How to make friends for the foreigner or the people who just come here for just only a short time?
Yeah.
The tips.
I think something that might help is to be to make an effort.
Yeah, like what kind of effort?
Trying to plan things with other people you met, and like see them on a regular basis, or invite people over, because I think most people are rather passive if it comes to making new friends.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's what I tried in the first year I moved here. You know, I invited people. I tried to join a club. They are nice. Like, I mean, they're also open-minded in welcoming the foreigner or the newcomer in their country. But you know, it's just only in one spot. It's like it's okay in the event, one particular event, and then after that there is no continuity.
I think that can be hard because companies are required to consider EU members and Swiss people first before foreigners, so that could be quite a challenge. But otherwise, try looking for bigger companies because they're more able to sponsor your visa.
What is the challenging living in Switzerland as the young generation? I mean, you know, people sometimes think that only the people adult who have a lot of problem, but actually young generation have their specific problem. Let's find out what is actually the problem that young people have, especially living in Switzerland.
So one problem for young people, I think, is the orientation phase, the transition phase from being a kid to transitioning to being an adult. There's not a lot of people who can really help you finding your way in life. That's probably also the reason why lots of Swiss young people prefer not to just start studying after the high school, but most Swiss high school students prefer to take 1 year off, and they try to find themselves. Having someone to help you orient yourself in life would be beneficial for most young people here.
I'm just standing in one of the most famous building in Schaffhausen in city centrum, whereas you can also see this prison here in Schaffhausen, and you know the prison is quite nice actually. That is actually standing in the middle of the city centrum, and also this building behind me is very old, and of course it has a lot of story behind it. It has a lot of history. I will find out, and maybe Joe can explain me what is this building is all about.
This building was a monastery just until 1928, and nowadays it's just a church and also a museum about history and arts, and also a library. So yeah, that's the story of this building. The prison is like 200 meters away, and it's in the center of Schaffhausen. But the government is planning on building a new prison outside of the city.
You know that, we discussed in previous conversation, that people think that the adult always have more problem than young generation.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think of the things that young generation have, like the challenge that they have in life?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that my generation will have more problems in future than the current generation. For example, climate change is like a giant problem for us, and we have to deal with the consequences from older generations.
Yeah.
Also, like the rent is just keeps getting higher and higher.
Yeah. What's the meaning of politic for you?
I mean, we in Switzerland have quite a privilege with our half-direct democracy, and I think that we have to foster this privilege and like really make use of it, because it's unique in the world, and that's why I think that it's especially for young people, it's important to be involved in politics and to be able to decide what you want your city to be like.
Okay, to improve the quality of the city or the country in general, yeah? Yes. And do you think that the young people are not interested in involving in politics in Switzerland, or?
I think through the climate movement, lots of young people became a little bit more interested regarding climate politics, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there were some people are really not interested in politics in general.
Okay.
But
why the reason why? You know that?
I think because there was like no real need to be that involved for some years.
I understand. Yeah.
Before the climate movement, at least.
Okay. So, but what about in this kind of development country like Switzerland, that everything is provided, like we talk about that living here is like everything is really extraordinary compared to the other countries, because it's also one of the well-being countries in the world. But What concern most of the politic nowadays?
No.
This is like what becomes the biggest concern for the politician.
According to polls, at least from
Yeah.
2019 or 2020, the biggest concern for Swiss people was the pension funds,
Oh, okay.
because we have a deficit of 1 billion Swiss francs per year,
Yeah.
and yeah, someone has to pay for that.
Oh,
Yeah, that's one of the biggest points. But also, like the climate is like number 3 or so. So yeah.
okay, everyone. I hope that you enjoy my video. Thank you very much for being with me. I hope that the talk in Schaffhausen with me can bring you something, especially if you want to know about the life in Switzerland in general for the young people, how to survive. But at the end of the day, wherever we live, wherever we try to spend our life, there are always pros and cons. The thing is, how can we survive in a good way? That's the most important thing. Thank you very much. Stay positive and bye. Cheers. Is this on already?
It's on, yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Kayaknya agak sedikit gitu. Tapi jelek ya nanti ya.
Yeah, my posture would be.
Yeah. The pub's head is back, bestickt, spots bestellt.
Junge jodelnde, Jodler Jungen, Jodeln Jaude, Jodler Jauchzer, Jaude Jodel Jauchzer, Jodeln Junge, Jodelnde, Jodler Jungen.
What really you are.
I'm lazy.
Oh no. I'm right in the frame. So you can just gather here because you're taller. You're here. So I have to stop this.